Hello and welcome back to the Engerati studio, and we're joined now by Marga Blom, who's the manager of energy efficiency at KPN. Before I go into the questions, I'd just like you to give a bit of background of who KPN are, just in case someone from the Holland isn't watching this, and also what you were setting out to achieve with this whole energy management initiative that you guys had.
Okay, I'm glad to.
Yes.
KPN is the incumbent telecom operator in the Netherlands. And we have affiliates in Belgium, but mostly Holland is our background. And there we use about almost 1% of the total electricity of the Netherlands.
So use 1% of the Dutch
Electricity.
electricity supply.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So then when we started to work on our energy efficiency program, that was the first goal. What are we actually using? How much do we use? Can we do something about it? And since 2008, energy is one of our CSR spearheads. And nowadays, not only on the energy efficiency program of our own consumption, but also how it can help with the experience that we have and the tools that we have, our customers to reduce their own energy consumption and our own CO2 footprint.
Right. So if I focus on your story for a second, and we'll go into the customer thing afterwards. From that, 1% of a country's energy supply. That's not an insignificant amount.
Yeah.
So if it was 1%, what is it now? Was the aim to create movement in that downwards, or was it just to be more efficient and not go any higher?
Well, the goal was to be efficient. And what is efficiency in telecoms? That's really hard to define. But the goal was to reduce as much energy as we could, knowing that our data communication volumes, and that's that's the measurement that we had on the efficiency, will go up. So what we measured now in the last 3 years is that our fixed telecommunications grew with about 200%. Our mobile telecommunications volume is even almost doubling a year. So, doing that without our energy consumption growing as fast as our data communication, that was our first goal. But now we actually, since 2011, we see the absolute energy consumption is going down.
Right.
Because all our programs. So that was really an achievement. So now we have goals until 2020 to also have an absolute energy reduction.
So that is then meaning that there is a reduction in overall operating costs because you're using less energy, so you're paying for less energy, and those are some of the business effects.
So there's a positive business case on all our energy efficiency programs.
So is there a figure that you can share with us and say this is the amount in euros that we've helped affect in terms of the bottom line, in terms of the operating costs?
Well, that's a little bit hard to say because what we see in absolute reduction is the consequences of building new networks, or for instance our 4G mobile network, and the energy efficiency program. So then the delta is in between there.
Right.
And for most of our energy efficiency programs, we also need to invest or to, it has OPEX or CAPEX costs to improve the energy efficiency. So what we can say is that most of our programs have a payback time between 1 and 2 or 3 years.
Okay, well that's reasonably short in the greater scheme of things. When we're in a utility show and they talk about 20 years, so that's pretty quick. So what were some of the things that if I could ask you to just share a few of the things that you did that kind of had some significant impact, how do you go about this?
Yeah, well, we are a long time a telecom operator, so we have quite some legacy in our networks. So, for instance, in our fixed network, where we moved to more IP, then some of the old platforms are not used or not totally used anymore. So what we did in the Netherlands was getting rid of the equipment not used anymore.
Right.
But you cannot see it's hard to see that from the outside because the whole platform is still working, but maybe part of it can be switched off. So our older technicians stayed a little longer before they retired, just to help us get the equipment out. And that was one of the most important parts where we saved about between 30 and 40 gigawatt hours a year.
Right.
What we reduced on
And that's
on
just
energy
using
consumption.
a technology upgrade, taking high consumption hardware
Yeah.
and
So
replacing it.
yeah, so you have your technology upgrade in a new platform.
Yeah.
So then parts by parts, your whole network can be switched off. So if you switch it off really and you get away the equipment, and another part is cooling, in improving the cooling.
Right.
So that's also.
And that's cooling in the data centers, or
the cooling in the data centers and in our larger technical buildings.
right. And so, what were some of the things that you found on this journey that you found surprising, that you didn't, you perhaps didn't expect, or you didn't think made as much of a difference as they did? And you're within your rights to say, actually, we didn't find anything too surprising. It's just a journey.
What was surprising and what was so fun doing is that when we started the program, we wanted to set goals, short time and longer time goals, to point a dot on the horizon. And then we went to all the operational teams and asked them what kind of energy efficiency programs you can imagine and what kind of energy efficiency programs you already are doing. And they looked very surprised. And then the next thing is, what is the plans, what you are doing, and what is the effect on energy consumption? They said, oh, we're doing this, and we're doing that, and we're doing that. And then there came a whole program.
Right.
And then by changing the way was looked to efficiency programs from a CSR point of view, then we created the goals on sustainability.
Right.
And then we went to the board and said, this is the program that the business made, and we really have a very ambitious program. So that was the surprising part, adding up all the things and make it larger and give it more give it more a voice, internal and external, made everyone proud of what they are doing. And now from all kinds of people in the organizations come new plans and new programs.
So from day one, you were getting buy-in effectively because everybody felt like they were contributing and that they had an ability to change.
Yeah, and at first they said, well, of course we are going to do that because it's good for our business.
Yes.
And then emphasizing that it was also good for our image and good on our sustainability program, that surprised them. And now that makes them very, very proud of the organization and even more proud on the work they are doing.
So you've taken something that is obvious and good to do, but also given it a societal benefit and things like that. So now, taking that journey one step further, you are also saying to me that now that you've been through all of this journey, you're now looking at delivering up programs to customers in the home and how they can do a similar thing on a much smaller scale. Is that right? Or
something like that.
Yeah.
Telecommunication is about IT.
Yeah.
And what we also did in our program was doing working like new way of working, smarter working. Working on not only working at home, but working at a time and the location that suit best.
Right.
Because we have the telecommunication and video conferencing and teleconferencing options also, and managed workspace. So we have all the equipment that we also use ourselves. And then we started top-down implementing the new way of working. So it's now normal that people work from home or call in on a meeting or
So you're saving travel time.
but also office space.
Right. Right. So you
co-
need less space, so you can shut down a building,
Yeah.
sell it, or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the thing.
Do you have any idea how much we saved on that?
I am gonna imagine that it's a fairly big figure, but I'll let you tell it.
36% on energy we saved in our office building.
So 36% was just by implementing that, having less office space, less buildings, and that's pretty big.
Yeah.
That's pretty big. And was that the single biggest thing in terms of cause and effect?
That was the biggest in our offices, but our offices only, I think about 10% of our energy consumption is in the offices. So in total, it was not the biggest step, but the new way of working is for our offices the biggest step that we took, and it's also very easy for our customers to see
Right.
what it is, and then we made a tool calculating how much, so that if you have a business, then you can use the tool and just fill in your own figures and then calculate how much CO2 you would save by implementing a new way of working. If if so much percent of your employees are working 1 or 2 days from home, but you not only see the CO2 reduction, because most CFOs are, well, quite interested, but there are things that are more interested. You also see the number of hours not spoiled by just sitting in your car or in public transport, and the money you can save. And that's
That's usually what gets CFOs excited, right? that last bit.
And it's really exciting if you see those figures. I didn't calculate it, but although I knew what we saved,
Yes.
it was very, very high even then.
And do you have any transparency into how that's been taken up by any of your clients or partners? Do you know that this calculator, this tool, is actually helping to convince other people to adopt the new way of working?
Yes, we see that it's helping, but we also see that we need to add something on it, because we have a lot of experience in the new way of working. Is not only on just saying you can work from home if you wish to, but also it needs a new management style.
Right.
We also have experience on that, so we can help not only in telling how much it can save, but also what do you need to do to implement it.
That softer side of things as well. So we're coming to the end of our time here in the studio, so I wanted to ask one final question. Where next? So, these programs don't stop, or at least they shouldn't stop. They're constantly evolving. Well, what's the next frontier that you're tackling?
What we now also are trying to find out, we have some experience in machine-to-machine interfaces, and RFID programs are already rolled out in different sort of businesses. And the thing that I'm now calculating is what did it affect on your business? You're using RFID now in your transportation. What is the real effect? Was it the effect that you measured, or was it more or less, or was it other effects? And how can you advise others to implement it? Or would you have done it earlier if you had seen that it had so many effects? So to learn more about what can new ways of communication help on...
And new technologies to allowing you to measure things that you perhaps couldn't have done in the past.
Yeah. But because what we really think is we can help with the tools, but we can only see the effects if we do that together with our customers.
Oh, that's perfect, and we're going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid. So thank you very much for joining us and sharing that story. Thank you as well for watching this. I suppose at the end of the day, energy efficiency is the last mile of the energy equation. You know, we can get more renewables into the space and everything, but we should also be using it efficiently as well. So thanks once again.